Thank you. Thank you so much. Absolutely fantastic to see you all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Feels good, doesn't it? Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Catherine, for those words of introduction. It seems a long time since we're on that bridge in Abergavenny, launching, I think, on that day, the first step. So thank you for your words. Mae'n week I fod yn ôl in Llandudno and bore da. I've been practicing since last year, as you can see. And conference, what a year it has been. Because for 14 years, this nation here has carried the torch for the entire Labour Party, the only great nation on our islands where we could show as a movement the change that we can deliver for working people. But now, a Labour government in Cardiff Bay, joined by a Labour government in Westminster, a new era, a new opportunity, a responsibility that we must now take to return Wales and Britain decisively to the service of working people. And of course, I had the privilege of travelling through the valleys and mountains on the campaign stump earlier this year. From the beginning in Abergavenny with Catherine, where we launched our first steps to change Wales. On the final day of the campaign in Carmarthen, and that was just hours before the polls opened. And then beyond the campaign as well, because just 3 days after that election, I was back here at the Senedd. A statement of intent, keeping my promise to the people of Wales. And then this summer, I was back again in the rolling hills of Carmarthenshire with Eluned, kick-starting our mission to make Wales an energy superpower. And Eluned, if I remember rightly, I think it was August, it was a beautiful sunny day. Today we're enjoying something maybe a little more typical for November. But look, I know that during that election, we've just seen some of the images a moment ago, I know how hard you work for our party and this nation, and the doors you knock, the streets you pound, the conversations that you have with your communities. And not just in those weeks of the general election campaign, but all the weeks and months and years before it. Step by step, conversation by conversation, showing that this party, this changed Labour Party, is fit to govern, not just in Wales, but across the whole of Britain. That we are ready for a new era. Labour Wales and Labour Britain, pulling in the same direction, the full force of our nation, once again serving the people of Wales. And everything this movement has achieved, from the first embers of justice flickering in the coalfields and the valleys of South Wales, to the birth of the NHS with Nye Bevan and Tredegar, right down to the Welsh Government school building programmes in the same communities today. Everything comes from the people, your effort, your enthusiasm, your belief in fairness and justice, and above all, your determination to root those arguments in the real concerns of working people. That is how we won in July. It's how you've always won in this nation. And it's how we must win again in 2026. The only path for progressive politics in our time. A truth once again demonstrated in recent weeks. Because there's nothing preordained about politics. There is no such thing as a natural order. And election victories don't fall from the sky, believe you me. They're hard won and hard fought. So any future success we enjoy depends on our steadfast resolve to that cause, showing again and again that this party, this changed Labour Party, is the vehicle for the hopes and aspirations of working people, that our ambition lives up to the change that they need in their lives. That's how we won 27 seats in Wales in July, how we united the great nations of this country and made Wales a Tory-free zone. I know that's a huge part of your triumph, because you have changed Britain. And for all those efforts, I simply say, diolch. See? A lot of practicing since last year. Because, look, there's a lot of thanks to go around. And most of all, conference, 3 formidable women. Women who will change the future of Wales for the better. Eleanor, the first female leader of Wales Conference. And I look forward to the change that we can make together. We're already showing that in our work on the Council for the Nations and Regions. And I know you'll be never shy about fighting for Wales. Never give an inch to those who say that Welsh pride means somehow cutting Wales off from Britain and from the world. You'll never give an inch, and quite rightly too. And my friends Carolyn and Jo. Jo and I met as lawyers when she was fighting for trade union members, and she fights just as hard for the people of Wales. And Carolyn, the first deputy leader of Wales, and a true friend to me, Vic, and the kids. I'm so grateful for the work you do for our party and for our government as well. And make no mistake, conference, there will be young women and girls in Wales who are looking at the TV and who are noticing. This is a nation led by women. And they'll be thinking that one day they'll be changing their ambitions because of your example. Thinking, you know what? They can be a leader of this nation as well. And success belongs to people like them. And conference, that is what change looks like. A new era of change has begun in Wales. Meanwhile, the Tories can only look on from their Welsh headquarters in the chalk hills and rolling downs of Sussex. Honestly, you couldn't actually make it up. The Shadow Welsh Secretary representing Wales from England, a metaphor that, for life, if ever there was one. Mind you, if the Tories think that you can become working class when you're 16 by working in McDonald's, then I suppose they think that going to university in Swansea does make you Welsh. In fact, the Shadow Welsh Secretary's constituency is actually, I worked out, nearer to France than it is to Wales. So in the Six Nations, you're really, really going to have to watch that one. But seriously, the visible reminder of Tory irrelevance in Wales, it shouldn't breed complacency, and this is really important. And it's not just the Tories, we know that. Politics in our time is volatile. It can change very, very quickly. And we didn't achieve power by taking anything for granted. And we won't deliver change by thinking that it's now job done. That is the lesson to draw from the visible absence of Tories in Wales. It highlights the responsibility and opportunity of power. That with a Labour government in Westminster and in the Senate, success depends on us. Success depends on change. Not just in the mood of politics, but in the tone, the rhetoric, the character of how we approach things. And that's important. Of course it is. Words do matter. Seeking common ground matters. We are not and never will be the Tories when it comes to that. But conference, be under no illusions. The British people, they will judge us on actions, not words. And with a mandate like ours, a mandate that stretches across every nation and region of Britain. There can be no excuses. And change can't just be a few extra lines on a graph moving in the right direction. Change can't be just a sort of good Labour policy or two that's delivered whilst the broader settlement remains unchanged. Change must mean nothing less than national renewal, a change that's felt in the bones of a nation and in the lives and in the pockets of working people. Public services, reformed and renewed. An economy where growth benefits the many. A sense of hope restored. Confidence returned. A future where together we look forward to the days to come. Because together we remember with pride the tough decisions we took to get there. A Wales where clean energy, Welsh energy, is powering thousands and thousands of homes. Because we took tough decisions to build the infrastructure, the pylons and the turbines, that the people of Wales need to keep their bills low. A Wales where working people have more security and dignity at work, because we took the tough decisions to reform the labour market, to get people back to work, finally making work pay with a real living wage. A Wales where we created thousands of good, well-paid jobs, jobs in the industries of the future, because we took tough decisions to reform the economy with investment and industrial strategy. And above all, a Wales that is proud and secure in its status as the beating heart of Britain, because together we have shown that Britain, Labour Britain, delivers security and opportunity for the people of Wales, the pride and potential of this nation, no longer ignored, disregarded, undervalued, as it was for 14 long years of Tory neglect, but unlocked to deliver change. And that is the meaning of national renewal. And it will be hard. People will say, we should turn back. That's enough. Take your foot off the accelerator. You've made some tough choices. It's time to now go more softly. In fact, to tell you the truth, they've already started saying that. The conference, you know me by now. You know we will stay the course. We will stick to our long-term plan, our national missions for change, because I'm convinced they're the only way to change this nation for the better. Take the budget a few weeks ago. A moment of pride. The first Labour budget for 15 years, delivered by the first female Chancellor ever. That's 800 years of male chancellors that came before Rachel when she stood up just the other week. But also a budget that focused squarely on the challenges before us. The mountain of mess left by the Tories. Public services decimated. A £22 billion black hole in our finances, concealed from the country. And when you find damp in your house, you always have a choice. Paint over it, hope it goes away, put it off till tomorrow, or strip it out, pull off the plaster, and deal with it once and for all. So make no mistake, I will defend our decisions in the budget all day long. And you may have seen in PMQs this week, the leader of the opposition admitted that she wants all the benefits and investment in our budget. She just doesn't want to pay for them. And she doesn't know how to pay for them. It's the same old Tories. They haven't listened, they haven't learnt, and they certainly haven't changed. They crashed the economy once, and now we know they'll do it all over again. So I will defend facing up to the harsh light of fiscal reality. I will defend the tough decisions that were necessary to stabilise our economy. And I will defend protecting the payslips of working people, fixing the foundations of our economy, and investing in the future of Britain and the future of Wales, finally turning the page on austerity once and for all. I will also defend at conference because the time is long overdue for Westminster politicians to level with people honestly about the trade-offs that Britain faces, to stop insulting your intelligence with the chicanery of easy answers, when that is exactly how we got into this mess in the first place. It's hard. Of course it's hard. If it were easy, then Britain wouldn't be here. And working people know that. They know there are no shortcuts, but they also know that protecting their payslips, fixing our public services, rebuilding our nation with investment, they know that is the path a Labour government with our values would take, because that is what they voted for, and that is the path of change. £21 billion for Wales next year. That is a record figure. That is the path of change. An additional £1.7 million through the Barnett formula. That is the path of change. More money for Welsh schools and hospitals. More investment in Welsh potential and pride. £88 million for city and growth deals. £1 billion for aerospace, benefiting companies like Airbus at Broughton, which we visited yesterday afternoon. A new hydrogen future in Milford Haven. More jobs, more growth, more money in the pockets of Welsh people. Conference, that is the path of change. And conference, we take yet another step along that road today, confirming that £160 million of new investment for an investment zone in Wrexham and Flintshire will be going live next year. Now, this will promote investment in opportunities. It will create more jobs and drive economic growth across North Wales. And that is exactly why I've always said that growth is my most important mission. And we've taken some extremely tough decisions on tax. You know that. But we can't keep on that road. A Labour government can't be reduced to an ever-expanding state, funded by ever-increasing taxes. So growth and reform have to be Labour causes, the means and the ends of rebuilding our country. Now, I've said we need to be a great reforming Labour government, and we will. There are huge assets in this nation, a heritage in science, in trade and industry, richer and deeper than anywhere else in the world. Take Paris Mountain, just a few miles from here. A copper mine that shaped North Wales for thousands of years. The beginning of this nation becoming the first truly industrial nation in the world, where the copper that lined the ships of British Navy came from, carrying Welsh coal and power to every corner of the globe. A new future forged in the furnace of opportunity, built on industry, the pride and potential of the Welsh nation. And look, I know what has been lost. Of course I do. Said it before. My dad was a toolmaker. He worked in a factory. He was a working man. As a young lawyer, I worked with the mining communities to challenge the Tories pit closure programme. So I know what disappeared when the factories and the pits closed. I know that it was more than just a way of life. It was an identity. Our identity in this party, actually, if we're frank. The community, the security, the chest-out pride that comes with the certainty of knowing that your contribution is respected, that what you do, what you make, matters. Not just for you and your family, but for your community, your country, and even beyond our shores. A pride that looked out to the world and said, this is our place. This is who we are. Now, this whole political project, the changes we've made to the Labour Party, they've always been about reforging that identity. And that is why in the budget, we are doing the right thing by those communities that powered our country. £25 million to keep disused coal tips safe, making sure mine workers have the pensions that are rightly theirs. That's what returning the Labour Party to the service of working people means. But the bigger job, the job now, is to do exactly the same for Wales and for Britain. Because I don't believe those stories belong in the history books. I believe they live in our values. Values that if we fix the foundations, if we keep our economy stable, if we're decisive on industrial policy, smart with our investment, can make Wales competitive, not just now, but long into the future. A nation that already enjoys leading positions in the industries of tomorrow. Life sciences on the South Wales coast, aerospace here in North Wales, clean energy right across the nation, semiconductors in Newport, and yes, green steel in Port Talbot. And that's the hard part, conference. Port Talbot shows exactly the challenge. We have to support people. Of course we do. We have to deliver a just and managed transition, deploy the power of government as a kind of bridge to a better future. That is our responsibility, and we won't shirk from it. I have to tell you, when we were elected in July, I couldn't believe the mess we inherited in relation to Port Talbot. And remember that the business secretary, now the leader of the opposition, said that she was proud of that mess. Well, that just shows the sort of values that they hold. Tory values that in South Wales are very familiar indeed. So look, I know how difficult things have been. And I know that this is still tough for many workers and their families. And this government will always stand alongside them. That's why we struck a better deal for workers in Port Talbot, a generous redundancy package, a comprehensive training programme on a decent wage for 12 months. At the budget, we also invested £80 million in a transition board. And just today we've announced a new multi-million-pound fund for Port Talbot workers and their families to set up their own businesses. Now, I've met with those workers on a number of occasions in their workplace and had good conversations with them about what they do, what they want for themselves, their families, and their communities. I know they have huge ambition and aspiration for the future, and we will help them make their hopes a reality, build a new future for their family and their community. But most importantly of all, conference, we secured the largest private investment in UK steel in decades and secured a new direction for steel in Port Talbot. We secured a long-term future, a foundation that the next generation and the local economy more widely can build their lives around. And that is exactly what I mean by tough decisions. And it isn't easy, but it is the responsibility and opportunity of power. The choice we face on industrial policy can never be between no change and no support. That is the false choice that led to the devastation across this nation in the 1980s. The politics of easy answers. It was wrong then, and it's wrong now. What we must do is escape the mindset that sees industrial communities as some sort of charity case, and instead see them as the source of growth and dynamism that they actually are, potential and pride that can be unlocked if we have an optimistic, serious plan for the future. And conference, that is how we rewrite our story in the ink of the future. We do it with a plan. We do it with pride. We do it with investment, a modern industrial strategy that unlocks the strength and ambitions of Wales, a national wealth fund that will make investments across the country, upgrading ports and supply chains across the UK, gigafactories. So Andrews's lead the world, investment in clean hydrogen, in tidal energy, in carbon capture and storage, industries where we can lead, industries where we can win, industries where Wales has a future. And yes, investment to transition our steel industry, the future of Welsh steel, secured. That is how we face the future conference. That is how we deliver change. Because make no mistake, this is a golden opportunity and we can't pass it up. A once-in-a-generation chance for a Labour government in Westminster to work in partnership with a Labour government in Wales. And look at the results already. The biggest uplift to workers' rights in a generation. Fire and rehire ended. Exploitative zero-hour contracts scrapped. Maternity and paternity rights protected. The carers allowance extended. The state pension more generous. Triple lock secured. Fuel duty cut. The national living wage increased. £1,400 a year in the pockets of working people. Money for the NHS, for schools, for councils, for our forces, for children with special education needs, for the regions and nations of this country conference. And we're only just getting started. Because it's time to show the power of unity, the potential of partnership, the purpose of change. A new future, forged from Welsh pride, Wales and Britain, restored to the service of working people. Thank you so much, conference. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, conference. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was great.